right now as we speak, and I ask all of you to join me in a brief moment of silence to honor him. Thank you. I hope that all of you are staying healthy and safe. I'll speak to our COVID numbers in a few minutes, but overall they're looking good. And I wanted to take this opportunity as we talk about the phases and as we talk about our excitement of getting our kids back into the classroom, getting our scholars back onto the college and university campuses, that we're able to do what we're doing because of you as Virginians that have listened to our guidelines, that have cooperated, and while I know many of us have made sacrifices together, all of you have been part of the solution. So on behalf of Virginia, I say thank you, and I also emphasize that we're working toward the new normal. We need to continue with the wearing of our facial protection, our social distancing, and our guidance with hygiene. So I thank all of you for that as we move forward. Today I'd like to talk to you about our guidance for schools in phase 2 and beyond, as well as announce some exciting appointments. But I'd like to begin with a meeting I had earlier today with leaders of our Police Chiefs Association. We had a very frank discussion about the pain that so many Americans are feeling right now and the protest over policing in communities of color. We also talked about what steps need to be taken to ensure that we can move forward on policies that protect our communities and improving the way we handle other social issues such as response to people in mental health crises. We had a very good conversation. I told them I know how hard everyone is working right now and that we all share the goal of rebuilding trust within our communities. We'll need everyone at the table for that. So while I spoke today with police chiefs, I intend to meet with other stakeholders, activists, and many others. This is an opportunity for serious reform, and we have to be serious about how we do it. This includes listening and learning from wise and thoughtful people. I also had a call this morning with Chief Justice Donald Lemons of our Virginia Supreme Court to thank him for putting a 21-day moratorium on evictions while we work to finalize our rent relief plan using federal funding. So thank you, Chief Justice Lemons, for your leadership. Now I'd like to turn to some personnel appointments, starting with two gentlemen, one of whom could not be with us, but he's very excited about his new position, and future Judge Jamal Hudson is with us today. So today I am announcing that I'm appointing Curtis Brown to the role of State Coordinator for the Virginia Department of Emergency Management. Curtis has served as Chief Deputy Coordinator of VDEM and has extensive experience in emergency management. He is also an important part of our health equity work group and is co-founder of the Institute for Diversity and Inclusion in Emergency Management. I am confident that he is the right person to lead that agency as we continue to deal with the COVID-19 crisis, this year's hurricane season, which hopefully will be quiet, and any other emergency that comes our way. I'm also appointing Jamal Hudson to fill a judicial vacancy at the State Corporation Commission. Mr. Hudson has served as Director of Government Affairs for the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission and has extensive experience working on the regulatory issues that frequently come before the SCC. His appointment was unanimously supported during session by Democrats and House Republicans. I am confident Mr. Hudson is well suited to fulfill his duties at the SCC. So Jamal, just congratulations and we welcome you. Thank you so much for your willingness to serve. In addition, today I'm making 3 new appointments to the Virginia Crime Commission. The panel studies public safety issues from policing to parole, and its work shapes justice policy in our Commonwealth. I'm appointing the following members. Chief Larry Boone, who is Chief of the Norfolk Police Department. Chief Boone has worked throughout his career to forge relationships and build trust between citizens and law enforcement. He's a reformer. We saw that as he marched with demonstrators and carried a Black Lives Matter sign. Chief Boone created the Office of Community Relations, successfully launching over 20 programs. He's also a member of the Virginia African American Advisory Board. As a black police chief serving a city with a 43% black population, he will bring personal and professional experience that will provide an important perspective to the Crime Commission's work. I'm also appointing Larry Terry, the director of the Weldon Cooper Center for Public Service at the University of Virginia. Dr. Terry has a long history of supporting returning citizens as they transition from correctional facilities back into the community through counseling, education planning, and resource identification. He has experience working for organizations dedicated to restorative justice and second chances. Dr. Terry recently participated in a paroling project with our office and the National Governors Association, as well as serving on a working dialogue with the Department of Corrections and Parole Board to identify housing opportunities for returning citizens. Dr. Terry is well equipped to serve the Commonwealth in this capacity. And third, I'm appointing Laurie Haas of the Coalition to Stop Gun Violence. After Laurie's daughter was injured in the Virginia Tech shooting, Laurie became very active in gun violence prevention work and has been an instrumental leader in Virginia and at the federal level, successfully helping to pass critical gun violence prevention laws. She is well known for her tremendous knowledge, passion, and advocacy. These are thoughtful people who Virginians can trust. I believe all three of them will provide important voices and expertise to the Crime Commission, and I thank them for their willingness to serve. Now I'd like to move to the coronavirus update. I know that recent events have overshadowed the pandemic, but it is still very much with us. That said, our health metrics are looking positive. The percent of positive tests over the past 14 days is trending downward, and statewide it's about 10% right now. Our hospitalizations for COVID are trending downward, particularly in the last week. Our general hospital bed capacity is sufficient. Our hospitals also report enough PPE, and we continue to work with other health settings to ensure that they have the PPE that they need. We continue to increase our testing capacity, and we are moving toward our goal of hiring contact tracers. For July, we're aiming for 15 contact tracers for every 100,000 people, 1,200. Right now, we have a total of 872 people statewide on our contact tracing team. That's a combination of new hires and existing VDH staff and volunteers. So overall, our numbers look good. Most of Virginia just entered phase 2 on Friday. Northern Virginia and the city of Richmond remained in phase 1. But the metrics from those areas also look positive, and they can move into phase 2 as of this Friday, the 12th of June. Now I'd like to talk about our public schools, K through 12. I know that parents are very interested in our plans for how to safely return children to our classrooms. As you recall, on March the 23rd, I closed all Virginia schools for the remainder of the academic year. Virginia was one of the first states to take this step. I believe that these closures have helped mitigate the spread of COVID-19 in our communities over the last few months. Since that time, our schools have risen to the occasion and found ways to continue providing instruction, keep students engaged in learning from afar, continue serving meals for children who otherwise would have gone hungry, and support students and families through an immensely challenging time. When we moved all of our schools to remote learning, we were clear that that shutdown would extend for the remainder of the school year. This school year is over. Seniors have graduated, even though it has not been the celebration.
Damn. Hold on, this motherfucker stopped on me. Damn Facebook. Huh. Oh yeah, hell yeah, they patting the numbers. Oh, no doubt, no doubt. Oh shit. Hold on. Shit. I don't even know what was up to. Damn. Hold on, man. Facebook is tripping. God damn. Nah, the test, there's definitely nothing accurate about it. That's what I'm saying. This whole COVID mess, this ain't nothing but a pandemic. If it was a pandemic, all of us would be dropping down like flies by now. But a lot of us are still alive, so hold on. That's what's up, man. Alright, Del Bigtree, okay. Yeah.
Settings.
Yeah.
We will encourage students to wear face coverings as well, especially our older students. Schools must submit plans to the Virginia Department of Education outlining how they'll comply with these guidelines before entering Phase 2 or Phase 3. School divisions also have flexibility to limit in-person instruction if needed. This approach to reopening our schools protects and prioritizes the health and social, emotional, and physical well-being of students and staff as public health conditions evolve. Now I'll ask our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. James Lane, to speak about this guidance for our schools. And I would just want to remind all of you a significant amount of work, a significant amount of discussion with input from a lot of folks around the communities in Virginia has taken place, a lot of meetings. And so, Dr. Lane, I just wanted to take the opportunity again on the behalf of Virginia to thank you for all of your great work. And I know that parents and students and faculty, educators are all very excited to move forward. So thank you very much.
I don't know, shit keep.
Thank you, Governor. While we are here to announce Virginia's return to school plan, I want to pause and recognize the broader situation we find ourselves in as a city, a commonwealth, and as a nation in this moment. We are having overdue and necessary but difficult conversations about systemic and historic racism and its continuing presence in American 2020. Education is a system with its own racist history and present-day challenges. And as the agency responsible for schools, we remain committed to tackling these conversations and necessary policy changes to ensure that the color of a student's skin doesn't dictate the education opportunity that they have access to. We must eliminate achievement and opportunity gaps. We must have culturally relevant standards and practices, and I am committed to eradicating racism from our schools and communities. I'd like to now walk through the particulars of the phased reopening plan for all of Virginia's K-12 public and private schools. This plan gradually phases in opportunities for in-person instruction while prioritizing the health and safety of students and staff. Schools will open for all students next year, but as the governor said, instruction will look different. Virginia schools are required to deliver new instruction to students for the 2020-2021 academic year, and some of that will happen in person, and some of that will happen via remote learning. Virginia's return to school plan aligns to the governor's reopening phases within the Forward Virginia Blueprint. It scales up opportunities for in-person instruction beginning immediately. It focuses on the health, social, emotional, and physical well-being of our students and staff, and it prioritizes the needs of our most vulnerable learners for whom in-person instruction is most essential and remote learning was the most difficult. This approach is equity-focused, but moves us to the end goal of safe in-person instruction for all students. So to reiterate some of what the governor already shared, in phase one, which begins immediately for everyone, but obviously many of our communities have moved on to phase two, special education and childcare for working families can be done in person. We've heard from our community significant concerns about the needs of our students with disabilities and the need to get those students back into their services and programs immediately. And so that's allowed in all schools. We move to phase two, where the programs for students with disabilities and childcare for working families is expanded upon with options for preschool through third grade students, English learners, and summer camps in school buildings. And again, we wanted to focus on getting education to our earliest learners because of the challenges that they were facing in the remote learning environment, while also making sure that we could keep them safe. In phase three, all students may begin to receive in-person instruction, but it must be accommodated within strict social distancing measures. So this will likely require staggered schedules and innovative approaches to the way that students come to our buildings. And we are all looking forward to the day that we're on beyond phase three, resuming to a new normal and having all of our students in buildings every day. The phases provide maximum flexibility at any given time and apply to both public and private schools. It's important to note that schools may be more limited in their in-person instructional offerings than the phase allows. So it allows flexibility for school divisions to put in more stringent measures as they need based on the conditions in their community. Before entering phase 2 and 3, every school in Virginia must submit plans to the Department of Education outlining their compliance with the VDH and CDC mitigation strategies. The Virginia Council for Private Education, who's here with us, will receive plans submitted by private schools accredited through the VCPE-approved state-recognized accrediting associations. But all of those health-related plans will come to the DOE, and we'll work closely with VCPE on those for private schools. Our public schools will also be required to submit a plan for providing new instruction for all students in the 2020-2021 academic year, regardless of phase or their operational status of the school at the time. Most of the state has entered phase 2. Richmond and Nova and others are still exceptions, but phase 1 is relevant for a few jurisdictions now and would be relevant if we move back to a more restrictive environment due to public health conditions, so we wanted to make sure you knew about phase 1 as well. But that means that most school divisions will move to phase 2, so I'm going to go into a little bit more depth on each phase and then wrap up and turn it back to the governor. In phase 1, again, instruction is predominantly remote. However, exceptions will be made for schools to offer in-person instruction for students with disabilities. Schools may elect to provide extended school year services and school year special education services, including private placements with strict social distancing. Students will only attend such programs if the individualized education program team agrees it is appropriate and the parent consents. Then we move into phase 2, where we still have predominantly remote instruction. But in addition to the phase 1 exceptions, schools may offer those in-person instruction for pre-K through third grade students, English learners, and permit summer camps to operate in school settings. It's important to note that in Phase 2, large group gatherings are limited to 50 people based on the governor's still existing executive order. In Phase 3, schools may shift to in-person instruction for all students, but with those physical distancing measures in place, staggered schedules, and alternative blended options for remote learning will be important for students. In all phases, schools are expected to follow the CDC school guidance strategies for protecting the health of staff and students, cleaning and disinfecting, ensuring physical distancing, limiting the mixing of groups and students, and implementing mitigation strategies. But this also means that remote options must be made available for students and staff who have complicating health factors and who are safer at home. So all schools must have a plan for those students and staff as well. The physical distancing strategies include, but are not limited to, 6-foot physical distancing between desks, workstations, teachers and students and other students to the greatest extent possible. Restrictions on mixing groups of students or classes of students. The combination of those measures will likely necessitate staggered or unique schedules. Closing or staggering the use of communal spaces, including cafeterias, so students may have to be served in their classroom. As the governor mentioned, daily health screenings of students and staff. The department will be providing guidance on those. All schools must provide those remote learning exceptions and teleworking for students and staff who are at higher risk of severe illness. The use of cloth face coverings by staff is required when 6-foot social distancing cannot be maintained. For students, face coverings are encouraged, but not required as developmentally appropriate, and especially in older students and in settings where students cannot maintain physical distancing. Again, this guidance applies to all of Virginia's public and private schools. More detail will be available in the coming days. I will share the Department of Education has produced Recover, Redesign, and Restart. This is nearly a 126-page guide that will go to our school divisions today and be posted online that schools can use to assist in their planning for opening schools under this. We believe that this document is comprehensive. It's been informed by a diverse set of education stakeholders, and schools should use it in their planning. It was created with the guidance of numerous task forces, dozens of teachers, principals, parents, education leaders, superintendents that came together to make this possible from every corner of the Commonwealth. We are confident that this additional guidance will help schools as they develop plans. We know there will be lots and lots of questions on the school opening plans, and so with that, I'll turn it back to the governor. Also posted today from the governor will be the phased guidance for Virginia schools that shares everything that I've shared today in writing, along with a PowerPoint that can easily be accessed to provide that information. Thank you, Governor, and I look forward to any questions. Thank you, Dr. Lane.
Well, thank you again for all of that work, and I know all of our families and students and faculty are anxious to get back into our schools, and I think the main message out of this is that they'll be back in school this fall. So that's really exciting news for all Virginians. We've also had a number of folks ask about our guidance around youth sports in Phase 2, growing up where I did, just always enjoyed sports. I know that we encourage, especially as a physician, our students and children to be out active and playing and getting good exercise. So this is also exciting, and I was going to go through this with you, but our chief of staff is also a former athlete and also has 2 young children who love being outside and playing sports. So I'm going to yield to our chief of staff, Clark.
Well, thank you, Governor. And again, Clark Mercer, the Governor's Chief of Staff. And I want to thank folks from all across the Commonwealth for calling and putting in recommendations. And there's a lot of sports out there, and every day when you think you kind of have everything figured out, someone calls with a new situation you haven't thought of. So I want to go through our overarching guidelines for youth sports in Phase 2. And I will start by saying it's applying common sense, incidental versus accidental contact, and shared equipment. That's really what we need to be thinking about when our kids are back out playing sports. Incidental contact is obviously accidental contact, temporary contact that you don't plan on in a sport, and we understand you can't play sports, a lot of them, without having incidental contact. Intentional contact, there's some sports you just can't play without intentionally coming across someone else and having sustained contact. So that's kind of a guiding post for what we're going to talk about. Also, shared equipment. We need to minimize and prohibit the use of shared equipment in phase 2. But we will have our kids out playing sports, and I'll give a couple examples of incidental contact versus intentional. Karate classes. Can my child go back to having indoor karate classes? Yes. Can your child spar with another child and have intentional contact in those classes? No. We've had folks that run ice skating arenas. Can ice skating start again? Yes. Can we have ice dancing in the ice skating arenas? No. Baseball. When I was growing up, we all shared a helmet. We all shared baseball bats. That's not common protocol now. You have your own bat. You have your own helmet. There's not shared equipment in baseball. Certainly there is some incidental contact that we recognize. Football, high school football, folks should be training right now, getting ready. I don't know what will happen with the high school season down the road, but certainly quarterbacks can be throwing to receivers. Receivers are wearing gloves. That's kind of common sense. We're not doing tackle football in the middle of the summer anyway. There's certainly some weight training, not using shared equipment, some drills that linemen can do that will accommodate the phase 2 guidelines. Soccer, I coached high school soccer for 6 years. There's ways to train and structure your practices without having intentional contact. With shared equipment with soccer, it's a very easy to structure a practice to avoid, for example, having throw-ins, right? You can restart from the ground. Obviously in competitive soccer, once we get going with that, you can't do that, but certainly for most of the training that we do across the Commonwealth, you don't have to have everyone picking up the ball and throwing it in. So that's kind of applying some of the common sense guidelines. In terms of capacity on our fields, indoor and outdoor, indoor is going to be less capacity. It's 30% for an indoor field or 50 people, whichever is the lesser amount, and that's per field. So some of our sports complexes that are large and have a baseball diamond, a volleyball court, a soccer field, it's per, each room should have its own capacity limit, and you'll know how to structure that. Outdoors, it's 50% capacity or 50 people, whichever is less for youth sports. And this is, I think, I was on the phone a couple days ago with a group of folks that coach baseball around the Commonwealth. For youth sports, we need our parents to be able to come, drop our kids off and watch, and for the children that they're overseeing. So it's there's no limit or capacity for the youth sports for spectators, given that their parents are guardians, either watching their children or taking care of their children at the game. And kind of common sense again, baseball, we've got the diamond, 2 dugouts, teams separated, and fans on either side down the first and third baseline watching from the outfield, social distancing. Soccer, lacrosse, those sorts of things, you have fans, typically 2 teams on either sideline again, social distancing, leaving some space in between spectators with a high likelihood, at least in my household, that my son or daughter comes running over for more orange slices or to take a timeout in the middle of the game and is hot and sweaty and perspiring. And obviously the 10 feet of distance that we're trying to maintain in fitness classes, our gyms, athletics recognizes that when you are exercising, those air particles move a little bit quicker and there's more likelihood of spread. So that's the reason for 10 feet. But phase 2, these are phases. They're not permanent. We will have a phase 3 in Virginia that the governor will articulate the guidelines for, but you will be able to get your sons and daughters out practicing and playing this Friday. Let's just do it in a smart way. Thank you.
In closing, I want to remind Virginians that today at 5 p.m. Is the last day to request an absentee ballot to vote in the June 23rd congressional primaries. Elections matter, and I'd encourage voters to vote absentee by mail to the extent possible. Now we'll hear a health update from Dr. Norm Oliver, and then I'll be glad to take questions. Thank you. Dr. Oliver.
So just quickly on the numbers for COVID-19 today. We currently, in the last reporting period, have recorded 487 new cases of COVID-19, bringing the total number of cases in the Commonwealth to 51,738. We also recorded 19 new deaths, bringing the total deaths to 1,496. We posted over that last reporting period 7,260 new PCR tests. I need to notify you all that we have a large lab in Central Virginia that has not been on electronic lab reporting with us, and there's been a large backlog of manual lab reports from that lab. We have, over the last couple of weeks, arranged for them to now report electronically, so over the next couple of days you will see a big jump in the number of tests that will be the result of these thousands of labs being put into our data base. On a demographic breakdown of the number of cases for which we have race and ethnicity data available, we have 7,154 cases among African Americans, or about 20% of those cases. We have 311 deaths among African Americans, or about 23%. Among Latinx population, number of cases is 17,269, and that's about 50% of the cases for which we have race and ethnicity data. And the deaths in that community, 145, which is about 11% of those that we have that information on. Thank you. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you. Be glad to take questions.
Updated on the lease statute litigation, and also can you talk about maybe not being able to be at that injunction hearing yesterday, and kind of your thoughts on that?
If you want, I'd have Rita Davis, if you'd like to give them an update on our status of the lease statute litigation. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor. Rita Davis, counsel for the governor. As I understand, the question is about an update on the Robert E. Lee Monument litigation. So as many of you may know, the Richmond Circuit Court entered a temporary injunction prohibiting the removal of the Robert E. Lee Monument until June 18th. We expected that action. We prepared for that action, and we look forward to litigating that action successfully as the days may come, and any others. Let's be clear about one major thing here. Though this monument was cast in the image of General Robert E. Lee, the purpose of this monument was to recast Virginia's history, to recast it to fit a narrative that minimized a devastating evil perpetrated on African Americans during the darkest part of our past. The governor's decision today to continue forward with trying to remove this monument takes us a step closer to reclaiming the truth of Virginia's history and to reclaim it for all Virginians. And we look forward to defending that in court. No, we were not notified of the circuit court's intention to hold this hearing. Under law, there is not a requirement that the responding party receive notice of a temporary restraining order hearing. I will say that in the majority of the litigation filed against the governor across the Commonwealth during this pandemic, we have been afforded that opportunity, but we were not this time. Thank you. Thank you, Governor.
Bill Atkinson with the Progress Index. All right, we will move to Jessica Jewell.
I'm sorry, I'm right here. I'm sorry.
Okay, all right.
I apologize. I had some technical issues on my end. This question is for Governor Northam or Dr. Lane. Are there any anticipated time frames for the phases of the reopening of the schools like there were during the general reopening of Virginia? I mean, are you thinking like there'll be maybe 2 to 3 weeks or so many weeks in length, or will the phases be based on individual school systems? And then also, what about the state's poorer school systems who don't have the revenues that larger systems have? What kind of assistance can be provided to them to help them get through these phases?
question is about the phases of reopening our schools, and the phases will be consistent with the phases that we've been talking about all along. We're, except for Northern Virginia and Richmond right now, who will enter phase 2 on Friday, we're in phase 2. We will look at the data, the number of new cases, the percent positivity, the hospital beds, our PPE, testing capability, all of those things as we move into phase 3. But a minimum of 2 weeks between phase 2 and phase 3. But looking at the data, again, we want to move forward safely and responsibly. So we'll, as soon as we can, we'll let you know when we are going into phase 3. The second part of the question was about resources, and we have received relief from the federal government through the CARES Act. We are looking presently of how we can distribute that into our localities, and certainly if there are school districts that need that help, we would be glad to have that discussion with them and take that into consideration.
Governor, just had a question for Dr. Lane, who mentioned the achievement gap. Just wondering if he had some new plan to close that gap. A lot of Virginia school systems have been battling the achievement gap for a number of years. And then on sidebar, as you have mentioned, you're going to call the legislators back. Just wondering what are your priorities upon calling them back, and when will you make that call, please?
Andre, I see 3 parts to your question, and I'm going to just touch on 2 of them. As the last part of your question was, when are we going to call the legislature back to Richmond, and what will our priorities be during that time? The date has not been set, but we look at doing a reforecast probably in the next few weeks into July, and just this is ballpark, but I anticipate calling the legislature back in early August for a number of reasons. The most important reason is our budget, and as you know, we had to hit the pause button coming out of session this year because of COVID-19. I think that we'll have a much better idea in the upcoming weeks of what our revenue is going to be coming into Virginia. So that will be certainly a top priority. But also, Andre, with what's going on with the protest and the police brutality that we've all been experiencing, there is ongoing discussion with legislators as to how we can turn our listening and learning into policy, how we can turn it into action, and so we're having those discussions, and I suspect that some of those issues, some of those pieces of legislation will be taken up in the special session, if that's what the General Assembly agrees to, and then also they'll be continued in our upcoming session in January. One of the things I wanted to just touch on before Dr. Lane comes up, and we've talked about the Robert E. Lee statue that is a monument of divisiveness that needs to come down. There are other monuments of inequities that we desperately need to address as we move forward, and one of those is access to education. And one of the things that, as you know, we just shot another video yesterday for it, but is my wife's and my commitment and our administration's commitment to early childhood education. That is really the tide that lifts all boats, and while we've had to hit the pause button on our budget, it is one of my top priorities as we move forward to make sure that all of our children, because we know that the majority of the development of the brain takes place in the first couple of years, and so we want all children, not just those that have the means, but all children to have access to early childhood education. And I really think of all the things that we can do to help everybody start out with equality in life, it's access to education. So we'll continue to make that a top priority. Dr. Lane, I'll let you handle the rest of the question. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you for the question. First, I'll agree with the Governor that there is an achievement gap on the first day of kindergarten. And if we're going to ever eliminate the achievement gap permanently, we're going to have to do more work in the space of early childhood, more access, higher quality programs, and we've been working on that for some time. In 2017, the Board of Education adopted a new accreditation system. And as part of that accreditation system, for the first time, they held schools accountable for eliminating achievement gaps as part of the system. We've been reporting achievement gaps for nearly 20 years, but we're only within the last 2 years at the point where we're actually holding our schools accountable, and as part of their school improvement plans, when they enter into state technical assistance, working with them on that. Not that that hasn't always been a part of the work, but now it's a requirement of the work. The board has announced that they are going to open the standards of accreditation again this year and begin to look at more ways that we can build equity into our system. We have a lot to do in the funding equity space. The board made recommendations and promulgated new standards of quality, which was a long-term look into where we want to go to make sure we're getting money to the schools that need them the most to make a difference for students. But ultimately, on top of those structures, we're going to have to do a better job of putting culturally responsive teaching practices into trainings for our teachers, into the standards and the way that we approach them, and building cultural competence for educators to make sure that every child sees themselves in every classroom. We have phenomenal educators in Virginia that are doing this work already, and we'll continue to build upon that. Thank you.
Before we take the next question, I misspoke about requesting your absentee ballot. So the deadline is not today at 5 o'clock, it's next Tuesday at 5 o'clock. So just wanted to make that clear to everybody. Next question.
Jessica Jewell with WSLS.
Good afternoon. Governor, some parents are very concerned about how they're going to be able to teach their kids from home and work again in the fall. Teachers are worried about how they're going to be expected to be in the classroom 5 days a week with their own kids at home. Are you worried about large numbers of teachers leaving their jobs so they can stay at home with their kids? And how can you address this? And then my second question is, how will these guidelines impact students on buses?
Do you want to address the bus issue? You actually address both questions if you want.
Thanks again, Governor. I'll answer the question about buses and then go back to the information on working parents, and then certainly Dr. Furlano can help on this as well. The guidance from the Virginia Department of Health does have 6-foot social distancing required on buses and classrooms. Now, that isn't to say that a school division couldn't put in place other mitigation strategies, but the guidance from the Virginia Department of Health is based on 6-foot social distancing because the research that we've looked at has supported that as the primary factor in reducing transmission. As it relates to working families, especially our teachers, we certainly consider this an important piece of the planning that all of our school divisions have to do. In earlier thoughts on this as we were working within our task forces, we thought about creating capacities and the such that would drive the thinking, but ultimately, in partnership with the Department of Health, we based the plan on 6-foot social distancing to provide the most flexibility that we could to our local school divisions while giving them an opportunity to plan for unique scenarios. So there may be school divisions that create plans where they can serve the children of teachers on a daily basis. It's certainly going to take partnerships. I met today with a ton of members of the nonprofit community and the child care community that can think about filling this gap. Child care is open, and so school divisions are going to have to think about unique ways to use space, but it might take when you think about equity, it might take a strategy that requires students that have no access to childcare and no way to afford it additional opportunities in the school, as long as the schools can maintain the 6-foot social distancing while creating a hybrid program for most of the students in the school. So we began about a week ago having conversations with our superintendents about how they would do this. Many of our superintendents are reaching out to community partners, like I said, childcare, the Y, nonprofits, to help support this. But at the end of the day, what we want to make sure is as we move our students into schools, we're doing it in a safe manner, but in a partnership that allows us to make sure that working families have options for childcare. So thank you, Governor.
I was wondering if you could provide additional details on how CARES Act funding might be distributed to schools, given that it can't replace lost revenues. And also, this year was obviously, historic, in Virginia, raising funding for schools back to pre-recession levels. So has there been any thought to whether the state will be able to maintain that funding increase as agreed upon in the session?
Yeah, Dr. Lanes will come back up, but it's the first part of your question about the CARES Act, and again, that's discussion that we're having as we move forward, and we'll consider all of those requests as we move forward. If you wanted to answer the other part, thanks.
Thank you, Governor. I'm not sure I can answer the second question on the General Assembly funding, but I will answer the question on the CARES Act. The CARES Act was distributed. There was $238 million that came to Virginia. 90% of those funds went directly to localities, and the federal government mandated that we use the Title I formula. It is not Title I funding, so it doesn't have to be spent like Title I funding. It can be spent on their needs as it relates to relief from the coronavirus, but we use the Title I formula to send those funds directly to localities. The other 10% of funds are in what we call a state set-aside for state activities, and there will be a press release on that in the near future.
Yeah, hi. I just had a question about contact tracing. I was just wondering if the recent protests have affected that work, and if questions they're asking people who tested positive for COVID have changed.
The question is about contact tracing and the recent protests, and I think just to sum that up, we obviously are concerned when we see individuals that are protesting and that are not maintaining their social distancing, not wearing facial protection. We obviously appreciate everybody's right to protest, but we want it to be done safely. And so we want everybody out there in Virginia to know that testing is available. We encourage protesters, if they feel that they've been in contact with other individuals, to go to our website to find out where the testing sites are in their communities, and really to move forward with that test. And as you know, on Friday, I was at one of the community testing centers in Chesapeake. It's a easy test to have done, and I would just encourage all of you that have questions about whether you have been in contact, whether you have the virus, if you're worried about it, if you have symptoms, etc., to really get out there and take advantage of these community testing sites and obtain the testing yourself.
Governor, we know you've been, going back to the statute, preparing the legality of that kind of a move for a year or more. But this particular injunction that was filed this week, did that catch you off guard? Were you at all concerned that the judge would rule without the state being present? And do you know of any other suits that have been filed like this?
Do you want to answer that? Thank you, Greg. I want to let a lawyer answer your question.
But do you have a personal response to it, though?
Well, my response is that we've been preparing for this for a year. This is a statute that is divisive. It needs to come down, and we are on very legal, solid grounds to have it taken down. But I will let our counsel address it in more detail if you'd like. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor. So as the Governor said, the Counsel's Office has been preparing for this opportunity for over a year. We were well aware of the potential legal challenges. We are also well aware of the Governor's authority to do this. The process that's begun in Richmond Circuit Court is going to be a multi-stage process. The first step was a temporary retaining order or restraining order entered yesterday. That is by no means the end of this issue. It is only the beginning. There will be several other stages of this process by which we will vigorously defend the Governor's authority to do this. And at the end of the day, we fully expect that the Circuit Court, and maybe even necessarily the Virginia Supreme Court, will affirm that. Did I get all of your questions?
And any other cases been filed so far?
Well, not that we are aware of. of, but as we have seen with the Richmond Circuit Court, unfortunately, we may not be aware of other injunctions that have been entered in other circuit courts. But as I stand here today, we are not aware of any other actions against the governor's decision to take down the monument. Thank you.
Roger Watson with the Farmville Herald.
Thank you, Governor. Is it your belief that Confederate markers and statues in other towns across the state should also be removed for the same arguments that you made when announcing the removal of the Lee statue in Richmond?
I believe if I heard his question, is it my belief that the other statues should be removed in different localities? And Roger, if I heard your question correctly, I am in charge as governor with our administration and council of the Lee statue, which is owned by the Commonwealth of Virginia. If there are other statues, street names, military bases, we introduced and passed legislation this year. It was passed, and it gives localities the option of dealing with their monuments, Confederate monuments, names of roads, etc. So it is my position that I will deal with what I have responsibility for, but I'm going to allow, and that's what the General Assembly agreed on, to allow the localities to make decisions about those that are in their regions.
Governor, last week the mayor of Richmond asked you for a curfew. You granted the curfew, and then yesterday the Richmond Commonwealth's attorney came out and said she's going to waive incarceration for anyone who violated the curfew.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and stop this thing right here. I just saw something like real funny. Because it actually was something on Instagram. Hold on. And matter of fact, it's about the Congressional Black Caucus. Let me see if I can find them. See if I can hit them up. Congressional Black Caucus. Here we go. Let me see. Oh, I think they got like 2 parts of this. But I definitely saw this one on top here. Yep, the Congressional Black Caucus.
John Lewis is not here, but he is our colleague, and he has been the conscience of the Congress. And what he probably would say is, let's keep our eyes on the prize. Let's keep our eyes on the prize. Everybody in this country can do something that nobody else can do. We are the Congress. And what we're doing here today is our role. There will be state and local governments that will call for things in their areas. But there was a question at the beginning where we were asked to raise our hand about our belief in whether this could happen or not. Well, I looked at some of my colleagues like Bobby Scott and Rosa DeLauro and others here. When I started 3.5 years ago, I would not have believed that we would have had paid family leave or sick time. But the times called for it because of COVID-19. This is the time. This is the time. As Fannie Lou Hamer said, we are sick and tired of being sick and tired. And so that's why you see us flying in from across the country, because we're doing our job. And so for all the distractors out there, masters of distraction, we're keeping our eyes on the prize. We're keeping our eyes on the prize. And we need that to be the story. State and local will do what state and local needs to do. Those folks, those young people, those old people, those black deep. We're trying to rebuild the foundation. That's all. So keep our eyes on the prize.
Wow, that's real cute. Well, let's keep our eyes on the prize.
Speaker, and to all of
Let's
the
keep our
leadership.
eyes on the prize. What prize is that? I thought the prize was reparations, man. Yeah, my check. I know, right? Oh man, these people are a joke, man. They're killing me, man. They're killing me. Making me laugh. Oh my goodness. These clowns are making me laugh, man. I tell you. Let's hear what this clown got to say.
Racism is a cancer that poisons our society. And today we take a step toward addressing it by trying to eradicate the malignant tumor of police brutality, far too often disproportionately directed at unarmed, innocent, law-abiding African American men and women. The chokehold and other police tactics such as a knee to the neck, which cut off breathing and result in asphyxiation, is a procedure that is unnecessary, unacceptable, uncivilized, unconscionable, and un-American. This legislation will make it unlawful under our nation's civil rights laws. A significant number of police departments already prohibit the use of the chokehold and tactics such as a knee to the neck as a matter of policy. But it still continues to be deployed through this very moment. And that's why we need to address it, prohibit it, outlaw it, criminalize it as a matter of law. Like any profession, there are very good police officers and there are bad ones. We embrace those police officers who are in the community to protect and serve. But violent police officers, brutal police officers, abusive police officers must be held accountable. The Justice in Policing Act will reform the doctrine of qualified immunity in order to make sure that victims of police brutality can vindicate their full rights under Section 1983 and our nation's civil rights laws. Unless there's accountability, there will never be change. Unless there's change, brutality will continue. And then we'll be trapped in a vicious cycle of anguish and despair. Lastly, African Americans have been in this country since before there was a country. We arrived on these shores in 1619 in shackles. And as a result of our blood, our sweat, our tears, our intellect, our ingenuity, our hard work, we helped to build this great country. And all we've ever wanted is to be treated equally. Not better,
not worse, equally. Why has that been so difficult to achieve? That's all we've ever wanted. Equal protection under the law. Liberty and justice for all. Treated with courtesy, professionalism, and respect by law enforcement. All we've ever wanted is to be treated equally. The Justice in Policing Act represents a strong, necessary, bold step in that direction, and I thank my colleagues for their leadership. I now yield to the distinguished chairwoman of the Congressional Black Caucus, Karen Bass.
Man, these people are a joke, ain't they, man? Too much begging, brother Danubian. Too much begging. Exactly. Too much begging. Phantom talking points again. Exactly, underrated. Come on, man. That he sounds like a joke, man. I'm just sitting up here laughing to myself like, damn. I'll tell you, this congressional coon caucus, these congressional boot-licking caucus, that's what these niggas are,
Thank
man.
you, Jerry.
This is ridiculous, man. All this begging and shit. Okay, racism is a cancer that poisons our society. Okay. But damn, we ain't the ones being fucking racist. We are the ones being victimized by this disease called racism, bruh. You ain't even talking about motherfucking reparations, my nigga. Like, for real, though. This clown here, these I can't, man. We got some pathetic ass motherfuckers out here, man. Some of our people, man, they don't even know who the fuck they're voting for. Oh, look at this post. Why we wear the kente cloth? That's for Ghana, man. Why y'all stealing shit for Ghanaian culture, man? That's disrespectful, yo. I'm gonna get to my man Tari and Rain in a little bit. Big ups to him. He been doing this thing while we wore the dang old kente cloth. You got to be kidding me. Man, talking about they're gonna be introducing the Justice and Police Reform Act. I'll tell you, man, these jokers are actors, man. I swear they're nothing but a bunch of actors. Oh man, these people here. These people here, boy. Lord have mercy. They're a joke. Let me see what is this.
And to all of the leadership here. John Lewis is not here, but he is our colleague, and he has been the conscience of the Congress. And what he probably would say is, let's keep our eyes on the prize. Let's keep our eyes on the prize.
Let's keep our eyes on the prize. Yes, let's keep our eyes on the prize. Man, get the fuck out of here with that shit. I'm tired of that nigga talking about he got his head smashed in and fucking Selma, Alabama. I'm sick of hearing that shit too. These clowns here, man, they kill me, man. These motherfuckers be killing me, man. Oh, man, ain't nothing new under the sun when it comes to these bozos, man. God damn, it looks like we're gonna have to get rid of a whole lot of motherfuckers, man. This is sad. This is sad. And then you got some Christian motherfucker. While I was fucking stocking the cells and shit. You know what I'm saying? Talk, asking me about you ready? Ask me, am I ready? I'm like, I asked them, ready for what? Oh, Jesus coming back. Like, get the fuck out of here with that bullshit, man. You know what I'm saying? Motherfuckers be on that bullshit, man. They be killing me, man. They need to stop. You think I'm gonna fall for that shit, sit up in and agree with you? Oh yeah, Jesus sure is coming back. Let's get ready. They've been saying that shit for hundreds of thousands of years, and that motherfucker ain't here yet. You know what I'm saying? Man, motherfuckers be killing me, man. Every day. I gotta hear some bullshit. Every day. And the shit just don't stop. And the shit sure don't stop. So yeah. I tell you, man, these jokers here, man. Yeah, oh yeah, the whole taking a knee thing. I'm glad you mentioned that, brother. Man, that's some Kaepernick bullshit. They doing the Kaepernick. I call that the Kaepernick. You know what I'm saying? They up there Kaepernicking. What the hell? These niggas here, man. I tell you, we got a lot of clowns, man. We got a lot of clowns in our people too, man. We got more clowns in our people more than anything, man. This is ridiculous. And these supposed to be the fucking authorities, man. They kill me, man. They really be killing me, man. All I can do is just sit back and laugh at these cock-sucking fools, man. Let me see what Vicky talking about here. Sister Vicky. Ain't heard from her in a while.
I'm talking about with the help of some perfumes. Somebody talk black to me. We won't get into that right now.
People.
Smelling like outside. Y'all play too much. Shout out to you, Slime, for your gift. I bless your gift 1,000-fold. She says, proud of you. You're like my aunt. I love your message. I love you back. And it's a privilege and an honor, beloved, to come before my people. Listen. So I know I'm up against something here, fooling with some of you guys, because you have made Becky and Miss Ann to be this little precious, little demure, little sacred idol in some of your minds. And she's been positioned that way in society on purpose. By her man, not just by her man, not just by society, but by you also. I gotta cast down, y'all know it's written, I gotta cast down these vain imaginations. These hot thoughts. Where is that in the Bible? Somebody talk back to me. You know what the scripture says? Cast down vain imaginations and high thoughts that exalt themselves against the knowledge of God. I'm doing the Lord's work today. You all know I believe in casting out the inner slave in you, that inner demon, but I'm still doing the Lord's work right now by letting you know. In your mind, you have imagined this woman as the ideal, as the height of beauty, as the height of success. And I'm just knocking that all the way off. Somebody talk like to me. You dig? Thank you for your gift. If someone gave before you, I love you back. And I bless your gifts 1,000-fold. And thank you all for your kind words. Listen. So this idol, I'm just totally smashing up what you have come to worship. I'm pleased to set these kinds of imaginations. The scripture says vain imaginations. I'm pleased to set your vain imaginations about these things. Somebody say these things. That's what we were talking about yesterday. These things. These outdoors men and women. We're being kind today. See, when your behavior models that, when your behavior is patterned after lions and tigers and bears, when you act buck wild and untamed and undomesticated, baby, we call you these things. That's in the dictionary. That's in the dictionary. But I'm doing the Lord's work by casting down these vain imaginations and high thoughts.
Lord.
I want to talk about another recent white woman that just manifested her real nature. Somebody say their real nature. Thank you, brother. I am Ramadan. Thank you for your kind words. And Tracy, what you laughing at me for? Listen. It's not easy. Thank you, my chief moderator Duo put the link in there. White fragility. Why it's so hard for white people to talk about racism. Well, it's hard for them to talk about racism. I'm glad you put that link in there. It's hard for them to talk about racism because it will expose once again that man of sin. Lord have mercy. Shout out to my dear brother Larry Robinson. He said, "Teach us, Queen. I'm doing my best, beloved. And I bless your gift 1,000-fold." Y'all don't know who Larry Robinson is. Look him up. Listen. The reason why white folk find it hard to talk about racism, she put that link in the chat for your reading pleasure. Because we give you receipts on the big show. Y'all not making stuff up. Watch this. Because it will expose this man of sin. Vicky, what are you talking about? 2 Thessalonians, I talk to you about that all the time. Vicky, I thought you under the teachings, of Elisha Muhammad and Minister Farrakhan. I thought you were a spiritualist and stuff. You got respect for other black practitioners and spiritual religions and so forth like that. What did you talk about the scripture? The white man didn't tamper with the Bible. I know that, fool. I shouldn't say fool. I know that. But there were still treasures that are within scripture. The problem is when we take the interpretation of our open enemies. When we take the interpretation of scripture of our open enemies, that's when you run into problems. But if you're going to throw away all of the gems, this is the secrets, the insight. If you read it right, you see, you need somebody to help you decode. Somebody say decode. You need to understand the spiritual algorithms. Your ancestors, your spiritual sages and prophets, your clairvoyance, they left that information for you to know what's up. What I look like throwing away all the good treasures because you're sitting here talking about what the white man done did. What area of life has the white man not messed up? Somebody talk back to me. It's our job to separate the wheat from the tares. It's our job to rightly divide. Lord, I'm preaching for real, ain't I? I know some of y'all like, you're a Baptist preacher. Shout out to you, Andre, for your gift. Layman's words. That's why I listen. What does the scripture say? It says, rightly divide the word of truth. Which means there's a wrong way to interpret that. So let me help you today. White folks pretend it's hard for them to talk about racism because they know that it's going to further expose them. We never scratch the surface of racism for real because it will expose them and they will have a greater responsibility. It's written in 2 Thessalonians that first before that day comes, what does it say? The man of sin is going to be revealed. Black folks, we've been tricked for hundreds of years. Some will say for 6,000 years if you understand that spiritually. Where these things, somebody say these things. Somebody say these things. These things have been masquerading as men. You think that because Sister Girl can go get her hair done at the salon. You think because she can get her nails done. You think that because they can drive cars at parallel park. You think to yourself, oh, only humans can parallel park. Somebody talk back to me. You think that because they can read and write. You think that because they have Apple computers and stuff. And they can go live on Instagram.
Fred Flintstones.
You think because they know how to use Cash App and stuff. They've been masquerading as a kind of a man or as mankind. Somebody talk black to me. The characteristics and the traits of these people. Let me get ready to go into it. Instagram, come on over Instagram to FlyBigQueenTV.com. I gotta get ready to show them some footage. And Instagram, you don't want to miss this footage. FlyBigQueenTV.com. Come on over. By the way, family, my show is also shown on several other platforms. If you're watching me there, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Again, don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Vicky X Dillon. Follow me on Instagram, beloved, at Vicky X Dillon. Would you do that? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Let me post this really quick, And as I'm doing that real quick, family, continue to like and to share. Continue to like and to share. Don't forget again that we have a store at shopfnq.com. That's shopfnq.com. You can get all kinds of fun products. There we go. You can get all types of fun products, beloved, if you check out our store at shopfnq.com. Again, we thank you so much for tuning in to a special edition, an early edition of the Vicky Show. Now, I want to get ready to show you these here. Let me show you what happened recently. How many of you all heard about this funny looking cabinet, this outdoors one? This made from the house, from outside, these things. How many of y'all heard about this latest, these things? Somebody say these things. Trying to be a lady about this stuff. Trying to be classy. Trying not to call you what you really are. Lord have mercy. I want to get ready to show you this, but let me read this to you first. You all know how I do it. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news, reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit, educational, personal use tips and balance in favor of fair use. Now, some of you all perhaps have heard about these things that's been just coming, like, just crawling from all over the place, right? These things. And so, we know during this time, and never forget the holy time we're in too, family. That's the reason why I'm going so hard about this now and really taking advantage of these manifestations of madness that continue to occur, because I have to let you know I'm not lying about what I say about these things. Somebody say she ain't lying about these things. I'm not lying about these things. This man of sin is revealing themselves and masquerading as a kind of a man. Watch this. So, we're dealing, even today, where our brother's body is supposed to be put to rest, I believe today, Brother George Floyd. You know, he's had memorials, he's had a special private memorial yesterday, and you know, they're live now, Reverend Al Sharpton is just on TV with his family. But we honor and we respect our brother George Floyd during this time. Not only him, of course, we know Ahmaud Arbery, we also know Breonna Taylor, and the other names that we don't yet know, but we know have been dealing with injustices at the hands of our 465-year-old open enemy. These are just some of the most recent and high-profile lynchings. So when I'm speaking about Breonna Taylor, I'm speaking about every other black woman that's been disrespected by the system. When I'm speaking about Ahmaud Arbery, I'm speaking about every other black brother as well. When I'm speaking about George Floyd, I'm speaking about the other countless of George Floyds that exist right now, black family. Never forget that. Do you hear me? Never forget that. Their story is our story. Shout out to you, Aria Blue, for your gift. I bless your very kind gift 1,000-fold. You are so breathtakingly beautiful. I love you so much and can't wait for you to start touring. Oh, with love from San Francisco. That's so sweet. Thank you, beloved, for your kind words, and thank you for supporting black media. You are so sweet and kind. Thank you so much. Family, for those of you that haven't, keep giving us a thumbs up, be sure to like and share. So during this time of George Floyd, you know, there's been a lot of protesting. You know, there have been, we've made our voices heard. Because they clearly can't hear us in the court system. They're not hearing us when we talk about law enforcement. They're not hearing us when we're talking about Congress, right? But we've been making enough noise in the streets. We've been doing the Lord's work. I'm going to keep saying that. What's the Lord's work? The kingdom of God suffers violence. The kingdom of God is his ways of doing things through us and by us. We're the kingdom of God. Don't get it twisted. Black family, you are God's special man and woman. You yourself are God, little g, meaning one with force and power. So because you, beloved, are a God in the earth, as it's written, you are reflective of the kingdom, of the hereafter, of the new world that we're going to build based on freedom, justice, and equality. The new world that we're working on. Don't forget I told you that the difficulty that we're experiencing now is labor pains. I've been saying it a long time, and now I'm hearing other black content creators confirm and say the same. These are labor pains, black family. And with labor comes blood. With labor comes pain. With labor comes moaning. But with labor comes a new thing. We understand for white supremacists, that old world, that murderer, that liar, that thief, that destroyer, that killer, it's not good news for them, but it's good news for us. Watch this. So the kingdom of God suffers violence, but the violence taken by force. There no forgiveness. We're not getting excited because white folks are outside with us in the streets. White people are always outside. Nothing new. Don't let them co-opt our movement so that they can get a photo op, and because of white guilt will never equal black empowerment. Don't take the Kool-Aid. Don't be tricked, black family. Don't let your guard down. Don't listen your righteous indignation because white folk are all around. Shout out to you, Eric 355, for your gift. Erica, love you, Queen B. Bless you. You always say like I'll bless you back. Erica, you blessed me in private too recently, and I thank you, beloved, for your gift to this network and me personally 1,000-fold. Thank you, sis. Listen, family. Now that I did all that talking to pull up this latest nut. So in the midst of us going through all this, thank you, Ann, in the midst of us going through all this, while we're in the streets protesting, white folks cannot help themselves. In the midst of us watching this open mention of our brother and the breath and the life taken out of him from beginning to end, white folks still got to show their natural tail. Why are they doing that, Vicky? Because the environment is created now where this is their natural habitat. Somebody talk black to me.
Get it, Vicky.
These times expose their nature.
She got that around.
This is the reason why we're seeing all of these wild manifestations, family. I'm going to keep telling you that.
Undomesticated.
Now, while I cue this, I want you to watch this video clip. I'm cueing it right now. I'm going to tell you who this funny-looking degenerate is. Give me just a moment. I'm cueing it right now as I'm doing that, family. Don't forget to keep giving us a thumbs up, thumbs up. Be sure to like, be sure to share.
Those eye winks. I know, right?
I'm staying on course. You can't fool me. I know that's right.
Somebody else knows those eye winks.
Here we go. I think this is the one that I'm looking for. Now watch this. White woman.
Exactly, Rafa.
Okay, I'm going to turn it so you can see it and get the volume right. Hold on. Let me start it over. Here we go. Then you're going to have to really look into the camera as much as possible because the person that did it, they obviously caught it on their little camera on their phone. So the way it's set up on this, you know, you got to really look at it real close. Here we go, beloved. see that? Black family, did you guys see that? Did you all see that? I want you to watch again. She waited for somebody black. This species, this undomesticated, wild species, came and was activated. I want you to watch real close the gestures and the movement of these things. Thank you, AJ, for your gift. We need your voice. Thank you. You're so welcome. Thank you, beloved, for your kind words. I bless your gift 1,000-fold. I want you to watch it again, family. And I'm going to play you some news footage. I want you to listen also to what this person is going to tell a reporter here in a minute about this very woman, this very female, from outside. Watch it again. Disrespectful things a human being can do outside of having a weapon. When you spit on someone, when you conjure up some of your bodily fluid and hurl it on to an actual human being that you are pretending to be, you are manifesting a disgusting and very real trait. And the fact that this woman still has her teeth and is still standing lets you know everything that you need to know about the systems of white supremacy. Watch this, family. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. On the count of 3 for those of you that have it. 1, 2, 3, thumbs up. Please hit that thumbs up button and that notification bell. Watch this. Thank you for tuning in to an early edition of the Vicky Show. I won't be before you long because I have a deadline here in a little bit of some things I've got to do in just a moment. But I wanted to come to you today for a little bit just to give you this bit of insight. I want you to listen to this little piece from the news.
A short woman is under arrest after it was seen spitting into a protester's face. It all happened Saturday as the demonstration was just ending.
Our Texas Ashley Sears is live to explain that she's been arrested again, Ashley?
She's been arrested again. I'm going to talk to y'all about that. Now, I want you to listen very closely to what one of the people that was on the scene or that observed it, what they say. Listen very closely.
It said police say she not only became physical with a protester outside of her home today, but she also kneed an arresting officer in the groin. As a peaceful...
Did y'all hear that? She also kneed an arresting officer in the groin. She is wilding out.
The protest was wrapping up Saturday. The crowd was confronted by a woman. Witnesses say Stephanie Rapkin parked her car in the middle of the intersection outside of the Metro Market.
Did y'all hear that? Stephanie Rapkin, she parked her car. Did y'all hear that? What she did?
Stephanie Rapkin parked her car in the middle of the intersection.
She parked her car in the middle of an intersection. Somebody say these people from outside. That in and of itself was provocative. That was non-human.
Outside of the Metro Market on Oakland Avenue in Shorewood, blocking the route.
She just kept saying we're inconvenienced, that she has to go to the store.
Carras-Gonzalez pulled out her phone. Rapkin ignores people as they urge her to get back in the vehicle. Rather than turning away, she's seen spitting in a young man's face.
That's disgusting. Like, you don't do that as, like, no normal human being would do that.
Later that night.
What did the lady just say? She said no normal human being? Wait a minute, y'all think I'm making this up. That's disgusting. Like, you don't do that as, like, no normal human being would do that.
Later that night, the 64-year-old...
Did you all hear that? They're recognizing that something is wrong with these people. No normal human being. Oh, I got your answer, baby. Y'all better let them know to tune into the big show. Because the MSNBC and Fox and them, they're not going to tell you the get down for real. I'm going to tell you what's wrong. I'm going to ask the questions that your black brothers and sisters that's sitting up on MSNBC and CNN and ABC and Fox and stuff is not asking. What's wrong with them? Ask that question out loud on mainstream white news networks.
was arrested at her home. There had to be some accountability, and it couldn't be quiet. Siobhan Sisson was part of a group that filmed the arrest.
She didn't just spit on a white person. She waited until a black child was in front of her to spit right in his face. Did you all hear that? Now I want you all to look at this funny-looking outdoorsman.
A day later, Rapkin was out of custody and back in the Shorewood home. People drew with sidewalk chalk, pointing at her
to spit right in his face.
A day later, Rapkin was out of custody.
Look at this madness. I'm sorry, I should have given you a warning, parents, to let you know that this image is very disturbing and it might be inappropriate for your children to look at this picture.
Oh, Lord.
I apologize. Look at Stephanie.
Stephanie.
Put her name in the chat, Black family, because I gotta tell you something about Stephanie.
Oh my God.
Look at Stephanie. Stephanie got activated when she was in the presence of melanin. Stephanie got activated when she was in the presence of a black god. Somebody talk black to me. Something started to shiver and shake in her nature when she was in the presence of a black god. Did y'all hear what I just said? Watch this. Watch this. So this is what we know about Stephanie's funny-looking self. God knows that phrase has never been truer than today. With her funny-looking self.
Funny-looking self.
I'm reading from this particular article today from Milwaukee Journal Sentinel. Watch this. Listen to what this says. Let me get back to it. Shorewood woman filmed spitting on protester arrested again after altercation in front of home. Police say she kneed officer in the groin.
Stop playing.
It goes on.
Wow.
Sunday, after being accused of shoving a 21-year-old college student who was writing protest messages in chalk on the sidewalk in front of her home, Shorewood woman, watch this, I'm getting ready to show you, y'all, I lie not. This is not manipulated, this picture is not manipulated at all. It's not airbrushed at all. If it was airbrushed, it would look better than this.
Lord Jesus.
This animal may scare you.
Oh,
I'm getting ready to show you another scary picture, so if you have children, please be aware. Shorewood police said Stephanie Rapkin resisted arrest and kneed a police officer in the groin when they tried to arrest her Sunday on a battery and disorderly conduct charges. Rapkin was booked into the Milwaukee County Jail on Sunday and kept overnight. Y'all ready? Sorry, forgive me. We understand now why they've invested so heavily. I'm not mad at them. Let them do whatever they need to do to fix up the face and everything, to fix the skin, everything that needs to be fixed up. Because they're trying to masquerade as a what? Somebody talk black to me. I ain't mad at nobody getting their little, their little tune-ups, their little physical tune-ups and stuff. I ain't mad. But this is that. This is that.
This is tune-ups.
This is that.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus, help.
Now keep that from outdoors
Oh.
in mind.
Yeah.
The bail was set at $950. She's 64 years old. But guess what? This thing that's been going about masquerading as a human being is an attorney. Did you all hear what I just said? And by the way, I've already called the Bar Association along with many of you to demand that they disbar her funny looking self. God, her funny looking self. I'm not even being funny when I say funny looking. I mean this. I've never meant more to, that phrase more ever before than today. This thing who tortures us even before she spit in our brother's face, she was torturing us by just existing and going around shopping and talking and stuff. Just you shopping and talking and answering the phone. Cutting the grass, sweeping is an offense. It's torture. It's an act of war. This is so bad. Somebody talk back to me.
Oh my
But then
goodness.
she had the nerve to be an attorney.
She's a bloody lawyer?
I'm going somewhere
I know,
with this.
right? Wow.
On Saturday, Rapkin, a 64-year-old attorney was initially taken into custody, police custody, at 10:12 p.m. after spitting on a teenager during an altercation that happened earlier that day in the 4,000 block of North Oakland Avenue. Multiple videos of the incident circulated on Facebook show a car parked in the middle of North Oakland Avenue. So just look at the provocative things that she did. Before she even got out the car and assaulted folks just by looking at her. The assault occurred before she started spitting. But she added to that, being provocative by parking in the middle
Oh no.
of the doggone
Could open a bottle of Coke. Damn.
Watch this.
Whew, y'all bringing in the jokes today.
Listen.
Looks
The
like
person filming the video follows her and asks her to move her car.
what?
The two stop on the sidewalk outside the Metro Market.
Yeah, they are.
She won't move her car, so we can't go, the person filming says, repeating, she won't move her car several times. Somebody said this outdoorsman. Just wild. She can be seen spitting on a young African-American male. Quickly, bystanders get between Rapkin and the young man. They surround the woman and usher her away. I'm just trying to say, notice all the white girls that started mentioning this before started to build a barrier around her to protect her funny-looking self. That's not what you do outside. Animals and stuff. Animals don't observe social norms. Somebody talk black to me. A dog will boo-boo on the sidewalk if they have the urge. Friedman, a senior at Ithaca College in New York, said in an interview that he went to write on the sidewalk after hearing about Rapkin's initial arrest. Among other things, Friedman wrote, "Be better than this, and I spit on a child. How dare you?" After an hour, Friedman said Rapkin came out of her house to confront him and the 7 to 10 other individuals who had joined him. On the video, the two can be seen arguing about her spitting on the 17-year-old boy. Rapkin tells Friedman, who was holding the camera, that she was simply responding to being physically attacked by the boy. You a lie. Black family, I don't believe, you know that. We don't believe in being the aggressor. But what I look like, letting you assault me. And you just chilling after you physically and violently assault me in the most vile and disgusting and savage way. This out of control savage, y'all, ended up getting arrested this twice because she ended up kneeing the police officer in the groin. Now let me say something to you. Did our brother George Floyd, is there any evidence that our brother George Floyd kneed a police officer in the groin? Lord have mercy. He's dead over their madness. But white women and white men are taken into custody without incident after assaulting an officer. Some could even call that sexually assaulting the officer. Think about that. They take the Dylan Roos, the white boy that was found guilty of the murder of our black non-parishioners at Mother Emanuel's church, into custody. Remember they took him to Burger King. He was at large. They knew they weren't looking just for a killer. They knew they were looking for a serial killer. And they took him in without incident, gently, kindly, and took him to get something to eat at Burger King.
They still do that shit in South Carolina. Goddamn shame.
Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, Black family. Please hit that notification bell. 1,000 of you tuned into an early show, early edition of the Vicky Show. We're so pleased that you're with us. My name is Vicky Dillon-Norrie. I'm here weekdays 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, but I've got something to take care of here in just a bit, so I wanted to at least get to you early today. Please follow me on Instagram at VickyXDillon, and make sure you check out our store at shopfnq.com, as well as FlyNubianBusiness.com. Go to FlyNubianBusiness.com if you want to learn how to build a business from black folks that's doing the same. Go to FlyNubianBusiness.com. There is no time like the present to get involved in that. Make sure that you copy the link at the bottom of your screen and share it out and let folks know that an early edition of the Vicky Show is on. Listen. When you observe these things closely, I told you yesterday, during yesterday's show, when you dissect these things, you realize that something is seriously wrong. And the purpose of acknowledging the nature of your open enemy is not just to make fun of them, but it's once you know the nature of your enemy, you should know better how to engage them. Somebody talk to me. Did you all hear what I just said? When you recognize and finally acknowledge the nature of your open enemy that does not behave as a human being, you will stop trying to appeal to them in the same manner. And for the same reason, I don't want to live in a cave or under the sea or in the jungle. It's the same reason we no longer consider it to be an honor to be around you people. We're trying to get out. We're trying to get our own schools, our own stores, our own neighborhoods. Why? Because we're sick of y'all. When you lay down with dogs, what is the saying? When you lay down with dogs, you get up with what, black family? You get stuff from outside. Somebody say from outside. We've been patient enough. Don't sit there and talk about, look at all of the rainbow of people that's outside with us and protesting. They've always been outside. That's for a photo op. A lot of that is because of white guilt that never equates into black empowerment. Don't take the bait. We need white folks to stay inside where, Vicky? Inside the halls of Congress and inside of Wall Street, so that they can affect things that's happening where it matters. Your white supremacist son that you birthed and developed, white woman, in your womb. These things, let me show you this. Y'all play too much. These things are from whence terrorists come. Tell me I'm lying. These things are what's birthing sexual deviance. These nurturing something. And we're not asking the they're not going to ask these questions out loud on white mainstream media outlets. But we need to stop playing. After almost 500 years, somebody needs to say, what kind of people lynch you, set you on fire, and then eat some of your body parts? Who does that? Why are black folks saying that out loud? You remember, as I mentioned before, Amber Geiger, that white supremacist terrorist that murdered our brother Botham Jean. She was 16 before she got there, and based on the records, around the time that she shot him, and she was 16 after. We need to say out loud on TV and on radio and on social media, what was wrong with y'all? Derek Chauvin, who had his knee on our brother's neck, he had his hands in his pockets, chilling. We need to ask out loud, what manner of man is this? Somebody talk back to me. Don't you guys want to know, why isn't Dr. Phil taking up these kind of TV shows to examine the heads of white people? Why aren't they saying out loud, my great-great-grandmother and my great-great-grandfather, they had slaves and stuff, and clearly they were my grandpa was a pedophile because, he slept with a little girl and ended up getting her pregnant. I made up of them. What's wrong with us? Y'all play too much. Why are we asking these questions out loud? The stuff that I'm telling you now is not so that you can go through social media and drag and troll them and call them out of their names. This is for you. I'm telling you this so that you are aware of the nature of a thing. And when you understand the nature of a thing, you engage that thing differently. You don't ask that thing for forgiveness. If a bear is attacking you, you don't say, bear, let's negotiate.
Yeah.
You don't say, let me come live where you live.
No.
You don't tell a bear, I'm just like you.
You gotta be out your damn mind.
You don't engage a snake like that.
Do some dumb shit.
And just say to a snake, can't we just all get along?
Yeah.
No, you want the snake to go back wherever in the hell he came from. So they don't lie to me.
Facts.
I've got to give it to you this way. I'm not the only one that says this. Even your scriptures refers to nations and people using beastly terms, using animal terms, because it points to a nature or a characteristic or a trait. The Jesus that some of you all love of 2,000 years ago, which was a black man too, but I also believe that there's a Jesus on the scene today. That Jesus of 2,000 years ago that you often quote, he would call his opposers what? Snakes,
and
vipers. He called them liars and sons of devils. Why? Because he was pointing to a particular trait. It's important the language that you use to discuss someone so that you can engage them and treat them that way accordingly.
Motherfuckers.
You will keep losing, black family, if you keep calling your 465-year-old open enemy your brother and sister in Christ. Y'all play too much.
These are the people that we deal with.
When you keep saying stuff, you just like me. Ooh, you setting us back another 100 years. Your slowness. Sorry, I need some turtles in the comment section. Your slowness to come to this conclusion, black family, is costing us lives. Y'all play too much. And you guys want me to sit here and talk in monotone, looking like Mary Poppins, while we're at war. Lord spammers. You want Vicky to take it easy while we watch our brothers and sisters being slaughtered on camera. You want me to take it easy. You got it twisted. Thumbs up, family. 1100 plus of you in the chat. Welcome to an early edition of the Vicky Show right here on FlyNewBeanQueenTV.com. I'm going to be before you just a few more minutes. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at VickyXDillard, and make sure that you check out our store, family, at shopfnq.com as well as FlyNewBeanBusiness.com. FlyNewBeanBusiness.com. The links will be in the chat. Listen, this woman, these things. This thing, it's not an isolated incident. Unfortunately, how many of you all heard about Anthony Brennan, his funny looking self? You probably don't recognize him right here in his mug shot with that mask on. You probably remember him like this. Y'all remember that? That mad cyclist, this white man, he got upset at some young adult. Some folks thought that was a little child, but some of the reports I read said she was just a young adult. She's just probably short, but a young adult. Shout out to you, Erica. Again, she said never be easy giving all that work. Thank you, sis. Listen, this is not an isolated incident. You all gotta be wondering what's wrong with them. Why aren't these questions being asked on mainstream media? Why? Because it's going to expose the true nature of a people that have been masquerading. As a human being. Somebody talk black to me. Watch this. Y'all remember this? This white man got so mad that they were putting up flyers about George Floyd. Again, ask yourself, what's activating these white folks like this? Somebody say, what's wrong with them? It's not about being disrespectful, it's about telling the truth. And it's about them examining themselves. And because of your disobedience, black white man and white woman, because of your rebellious spirit, your disobedient wild self, there's a special kind of judgment and justice that you get ready to experience. And black family, some of this is our fault, because you talking about kissing on them and loving on them and forgiving them, you guys not keeping them in check. You're not properly responding to provide and protect for the black family is the reason why these wild animals are just running over you. Part of this is your fault. You got to put controls in place. You got to have parameters and boundaries. And only a true black God and a black goddess can do that. Shout out to you, Aussie, for your gift. Love you, Vicky from Paris. You're such an inspiration. Thank you, beloved. Shout out to Paris. I had somebody shout me out too from London the other day, Jamaica the other day. People from around the world that's tuned into the Vicky Show on FlyNewBeanQueenTV.com. Thank you. Thank you, Ron, for your gift. Said you better wake up, Lazarus. That's right, beloved. Salute, soldier. Salute to you as well. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, family. Somebody messaged me from Kenya the other day too and said, well, they said, you're the only one we love in Kenya, but I know you guys are just being kind. But thank you so much. It's an honor. It's an honor. And we're so grateful that the Vicky Show is on several other platforms. I'm also a contributor on a couple of other platforms as well that I do original content for. So you just don't know who you're reaching and who's being inspired and informed and empowered by your message. And you help us to do that, black family. Thank you so much. Listen. It's not by accident, these outbursts you're seeing from these people. Look at this nut.
Hey, leave her alone.
Watch this.
Do not touch her. Do not touch her.
Hey, leave her alone.
Do not touch her. Do not touch her. She has nothing. Do not touch her, sir.
Leave her alone.
Sir, just walk away. Hey! Just get out of there. What? Hey! You want it? What?
Somebody answer this question. What's wrong with them? Shout out to you, sex, and your gift. Somebody said, what's wrong with them? White people project themselves onto us. Somebody might be saying, what do you mean white people project themselves? Do you all know how white folks used to say that we were monkeys? You know how white folks keep comparing us to animals? You know how white folks make fun of our very African features and they liken us to animals? You know how white folks back in the day used to say we had tails, when if you all study and research, you'll find out that some of them are actually born with little tails and they cut them off at birth? I lie not. Study and research it. They say that about us is what I'm trying to tell you. You know how white folks used to say that we smell? Yes, after being out in the plantation field for 15 and 20 and 24 hours, you would smell like something like that when you guys outside working for you, building your world and refuse to give us soap and water regularly. You notice how they project who they themselves are onto us? Y'all play too much. She looked like a little girl, dual. I was saying she was a little girl too. She may be, but one of the other reports I read, they said she was actually a young adult. Meaning that she was basically short, a little person. I was calling her a little girl too. She may be perhaps, but I'm saying one of the other reports that I read also said that they were young adults. Again, she may be a child, but I'm letting you know I read a couple of things about that. You all know I don't just read one story most times before I come to you. I always like to dig deep, and one of the other stories that I read said that these were young adults. Thumbs up, family. Be sure to like and share. On the count of 3, for those of you that haven't hit the thumbs up button and the notification bell. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Thumbs up. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Welcome to an early edition of the Vicky Show. I wanted to come to you very briefly and early. Give me a few more minutes. Would you do that? Make sure you check out our show from yesterday as well, family. That was a pretty powerful show yesterday that I do not want you to miss. Yesterday's show, in fact, let me look up, I'm trying to remember even what I talked about. Let it miss what I talked about. Oh, Sesame Street star. How could I forget? Sesame Street star, Billy Porter. Billy Porter's funny looking self. He came out talking crazy, likening black folks who's protesting for justice during this time, this holy uprising. He said that we are eerily similar to white supremacists. I lied not, I played you the clip. So I gave him some work with his multicolored self. All this condensation stuff. So make sure that you check out my show from yesterday too, dear family. And share it out as well. Would you do that? Watch this. I tell you all to do that not just to blow up Vicky's name. What I do is a part of my purpose. It's the reason I was born. I'm going to do this whether 200 people watching me or 2,000 or 20,000 are watching me. I'm grateful that my show is played on several other platforms. I'm grateful for that. But this is about purpose for me. So when I'm telling you to watch another show, it's because you may get an insight that you didn't have before. You'll get another nugget and another piece of a puzzle, and I'll explain to you the seriousness of the times and how it's manifesting. And some of these things that are manifesting are distractions that are thrown out in the road of progress, on the road to our progress, on the road to the promised land for black folks, on the road to black self-determination. Sometimes when you're driving, there's a possum or a squirrel that's in the road. We're not even going to swerve to get out the way. We're just going to run that thing over. Somebody talk
make sure that you check out my show from yesterday. Watch this. Let me get back to what I'm talking about, though. I just gave you another incident, right? I just gave you another incident, right? Watch this. Watch this. I want you to see this again. And keep in mind, what would activate somebody to do something like that?
Hey, leave her alone.
Do not touch her. Do not touch her. She has nothing. Do not touch her, sir.
Leave her alone. Sarah, just walk away. Hey!
Oh, get up.
Just get out of here. What? Hey!
Let's dissect this thing. What manner of man will be getting his exercise for the day? Y'all know how your frequency is real high, y'all, when you outside and you by the water and look, fresh air and you getting sunshine and you absorbing all of that vitamin D and you just vibrating high when you're outside in our planet, right? And you just walking and you're moving your body, you're feeling really good. You're on your bike. By the way, I don't even know how to ride a bike. By the way, Sam, I'm 41 years of age and don't know how to ride a bike. One day I may. Watch this. You're riding your bike and you see people putting up posters about black men. You stop. You get off of your bike trail. Did y'all hear what I just said? You get off of your bike trail. In the middle of his exercise routine, he gets off his bike and he stops. Think about that. He stops his exercise routine. Jumps off the bike. And like a rabid dog, just start attacking and snatching down the pictures of George Floyd. Who does that, y'all? How did that, what did that trigger in him to see somebody posting pictures of George Floyd, but that moved him so much to jump off his bike and to attack? And when he attacked, he didn't not only snatch it from the woman, the man who was recording it, he ran him down on his bike and made him fall over. A rabid dog, a rabid, uncontrolled, untamed animal does stuff like that, fam. That's what I'm trying to get you to see. And when you keep seeing these constant and repeated centuries-old manifestations, I'm trying to say to you this time, more than any other time, is the reason we need to begin to unify. Teach our own, build our own. Now, family, I said now. Get away from these things before you catch something that you can't shake, black man and black woman. You better go sit your funny looking self down somewhere. On Twitter earlier today, I asked this question earlier today, and I'm going to keep on asking it. By the way, follow me on Twitter at Dillard Vicky. You can follow me on Twitter at Dillard Vicky, my last name first. Watch this. I asked this earlier today because I really want to know the answer to this. I want to know the answer to this. Look at this tweet I put up some hours ago. The question I asked, I said, what's eerily missing from reporters is this central question. What's wrong with white people? What manner of man calmly murders on camera, lynches, and ingests our body parts? Why are they so hush-hush on CNN? Why isn't Chris Cuomo asking these questions out loud? loud. They keeping a secret from us, something that they know about themselves that they don't think that we know. Shaka Zulu, I love you back. It's up to us to probe this enemy, black family. It's up to us to recognize that our prophets left us a secret and told us that the man of sin is going to be revealed. Reveal means that they've been hiding in plain sight. Reveal means that it's going to look like one thing, they're covered up. It's not going to be obvious. What did your Jesus from 2,000 years ago say? Wolves in sheep's clothing?
They can't fight their nature any longer. That's why they're coming out the closet.
Ask yourself, why isn't Dr. Phil talking about this okra? Okra! Why isn't okra doing shows about this?
Shoot. Okra brung Dr.
Ayana Van Zandt, fix your life. Why aren't you talking about this, Ayana?
Oh, they worry about losing money. That's what that is.
Dr. Arnold, you love to talk about the physiology of people. Medicine and stuff. Do a show on this.
They are implicated with it. They don't want to lose any money. That's all that is. Yup.
This is what you're experiencing, white rage, black family. And because of white rage,
okra? Oh no.
It's in our best interest to get out. Meaning removing ourselves from them even now. As I said before, for starters, by teaching our own children, investing in our own businesses, and unifying with other black people. This is about the differences of nature. And those examples that I just gave you keeps proving my point. This isn't a one-off. This is not just incidental. Watch this. Let me talk to you about this boy. The guy that was on that cycle, the guy that was on that bike, that's him. Watch this. His name is Anthony Brennan III. He's 60 years of age. It says of Kingston, Maryland. He surrendered to police Friday and was charged with 3 counts of second-degree assault for the incident that took place Monday on Capitol Crescent Trail, according to the Maryland National Capital Park Police. See, even this article says it here that I read from ABC. It says the 3 young adults, 2 women and a man, were posting flyers in the park promoting justice for Floyd that read, "Killer cops will not go free." So they were posting those flyers that said killer cops will not go free. When Brennan confronted them, as you guys saw. Watch this. After cursing the group, we know that Brennan took his bike and rammed the man who filmed the encounter before shouting at him to take the signs down. Investigators said they received several tips from the public since the video was circulated and talked with Brennan and his attorney Friday morning. He allowed police to search his home, watch this, and they collected, quote, items of evidentiary value before serving him with an arrest warrant. These beasts are running, but why? We told you that because you're acting like that. The Maryland National Capital Park Police, it says, appreciates the courage and civic engagement of the victims who came forward in this matter. The police said in a statement, "We thank the community for the abundance of tips and information shared." Y'all play too much. What's wrong with them? They're activated like they're mad men, mad women. The thing that's interesting, and I'll say this and I gotta get ready to go. That lady that I just showed you, that attorney, by the way, I I called on her too. I know several other black activists and black media members have said the same thing. Shout out to, I believe his name is Sir GBI, or GBS. I hope that's how you say his name. Anyway, he posted something about this white supremacist beast. He said, let's get her disbarred. Her name is Stephanie Rapkin. Of course, we talked about that. He put a phone number up, which I've already called and made my sentiments known. If you want to call this number, call 1-877. Somebody put this in the chat for me. 315-6941. That's 877-315-6941. One more time. 877-315-6941. Hit option 1. Stephanie Rapkin. STEPHANIE Rapkin. RAPKIN. To get her disbarred. Now let me tell y'all something. Thank you for putting that number in the chat. Thank you for putting that number in the chat. Watch this. Watch this. Watch this. This thing is an attorney. Why am I bringing it up? The other white lady, remember, that was harassing this black man and was illegally called the police on him, lying about her being threatened. The one that lost her job. Remember, she was some finance executive. Why am I bringing this up? Black family, in the courts, don't we experience injustice like nobody else? In banking, don't we experience injustice like nobody else? What you are finding is that some of the people that are acting like wild beasts are those that are in decisive and important positions. The industries that they work in are powerful positions. The people that are lobbyists, that are influencing lawmakers, those that are attorneys, most of them, many of them, these are the ones that you're finding acting like this. And you wonder why they're giving you hell in all of those other areas of people activity. You are seeing the mindset in Wall Street. You're seeing the mindset in court of how they think of you. They spit in your face when they get the chance. If you do anything pertaining to black folk, they will jump off of their bikes and they will ram their bikes into you. Because when you do something for black folk, something in their sick cells is activated. You right, E.J. Jones. Thumbs up, family. 1,200 plus of you in the chat. Welcome to a special edition of the Vicky Show. I gotta get ready to go here in a moment, but listen. These people are the ones that are decision makers. They're sitting in what the scripture calls high places, important places. And you're wondering why areas of your life is being frustrated, why you keep running into a wall. People with these mindsets who spit in your face, who ram you with a bike, are the ones that are influencing laws, court proceedings, finance. But you get tripped up because they're well dressed and because they live in nice neighborhoods. But if you put those rabid animals in the right environment, if you put them in a natural habitat where you're in an environment where Donald Trump has also assisted in white supremacists coming out boldly and openly, where you're in a world where there are no limits and there's no leash on these untamed beasts, because when there's no leash on the animals, they run wild. When you don't have a fence to keep them in check, they proliferate. highlight that for you today real quick. There's so much more that I can say. I won't go there right now. Give those people a call about this Stephanie Rapkin. Look at this as an opportunity to say, you know what, let's stop playing with our own self, black family, and quit pretending like we're not at war and we're not dealing with a different kind of enemy and that they are unwilling to change. They have proven themselves to be impossible to get along with. Follow me on Instagram at VickyXDillard. Make sure that you subscribe to FlyLivingQueen.com. Make sure that you share this broadcast out. It's a privilege and an honor to come to you early today on FlyLivingQueenTV.com, the network for melanated women just like you. And we know, brothers, you hold us down as well. Thank you so much. Shout out to every single one of you that came into the Black Digital building today. Make sure that you share this early edition of the Vicky Show today. It is my privilege, my honor, and my bliss to come before you today. The lady with the curly braids, hair slinging all over the place, but you know I love you to pieces. Follow me on Instagram at VickyXDillard and on Twitter at DillardVicky. I came to you in peace. I leave you in peace. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom. Ma'at Hotel. Namaste.
That was Vicky's address.
All acknowledge the funeral of George Floyd, which is happening right now, in silence to honor him.
Oh, hell yeah, it was.
Thank you. I hope that all of you are staying healthy and safe. I'll speak to our COVID numbers in a few minutes.
Oh yeah, those fake COVID
they're
numbers.
Looking good, and I wanted to take this opportunity as we talk about the phases and as we talk about our excitement of getting our kids back into the classroom, getting our scholars back.
Yeah, enough of that. I don't think you want to hear that anymore. That was the best part of this broadcast, playing Vicky Dillard. But anyway, yeah, that's all I wanted to present. Yeah, I think that was pretty much all I wanted to present. You know what? I forgot to send this article. I'm gonna see if I can send it in the comments section. Yeah, Biden doesn't support defunding the police. And I was talking earlier about the status, how Joe Biden represents the status quo. You know what I'm saying? I mean, shoot. Biden and Trump represents the status quo. So, I mean, I don't see what's the use of people really vote for either of these two idiots. But if people want to kill themselves, they can go ahead and vote. That's just how I see it, because voting is a goddamn scam. Yeah. Yeah, I meant to, matter of fact, let me see if I can. You know what? I'm gonna tweet this out to everybody so they can read it. I'll do it like that. Why he's not for defunding the police. So I could put it in the comments section. Probably might we could probably go ahead and discuss the article. Yeah, I'll put defund the police. ADOS. ADOS politics. One time they would have it on there and then they would take it off. Interesting how they do that too. But yeah. Pretty slick how they do that. But that's Twitter for you. They always changing up the hashtags and all that stuff. Because they don't want everybody to know what the business is, you know. But yeah. Right. That too. Yep. Yep. That too. Either way, it should have been stopped. They shouldn't allow George Floyd to be choked like that. The officer should have stopped it. Of course, he's gonna toe the line. So that's how most of these renter cops operate. I don't think them guys were real cops anyway. Like I said, but that's just my opinion of the matter. Yeah. Hold on, give me a few more moments. Yeah, a few more moments, and I'm gonna go ahead and put it in the. I'm gonna go ahead and post it in the comments section. But yeah, you know, Vicky always delivers that fire though. She always do. Here it is. Oop. Damn. Wait a minute. God damn. She always delivered that fire. Hold on. There we go. But yeah, but that's the article that I'm going to be that we're going to be looking over real quick. Yeah. And I was talking about this earlier, before you walked in, Brother Danubio. No, it wasn't in this video. It was in a previous video, actually. Yeah, it was in a previous video. In the previous video, I didn't really read the article out, but previous video, it was the video on Laura Coates. It was on Laura Coates' show, and I was talking about police reform. But yeah. Yep. Oh, I agree, Brother Danubian. Absolutely. Yeah, they definitely need to be sued. Shoot. The hardest thing is to get rid of these daggone police unions. That's the only reason why the police got as much power as they do and as much protection as they do is because of these police unions. Matter of fact, police unions have the strongest unions out of any other profession that has unions. And you know, it's kind of interesting how that is though, but it makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Hey, if the police continue to get protected, then they can keep doing the same old bullshit over and over again. Whether they real cops or renter cops, you know what I mean? So, yeah. Oh, this is the article. Joe Biden's campaign said in a statement Monday that the presumptive Democratic presidential nominee does not support defunding police, but is pushing for police reform and more spending on community, school, health, and social programs. How can you not support defund the police, but you want to push police reform and more spending on community health, school, and social programs? That doesn't make sense. That's how you tell these European Americans who supposedly run this country are mentally challenged. You know what I mean? Like, for real. Reading the rest of the article, why it matters. The statement rejects claims from President Trump's re-election campaign that the former vice president will undercut the ability of police departments to do their jobs by endorsing the defund the police message, which has been at the heart of activist demands over the past several weeks of protest. Driving the news, as his criminal justice proposal made clear months ago, Vice President Biden does not believe that police should be defunded. Biden's campaign spokesperson, Andrew Bates, said in a statement, quote, he hears and shares the deep grief and frustration of those calling out for change and is driven to ensure that justice is done and that we put a stop to this terrible pain, end quote. I don't know how you're going to put a stop to a terrible pain if we ain't getting any reparations. That's what we really need. That would solve a lot of this bullshit that is going on right now. You know what I'm saying? Shoot. Man, these people need to get out my face with the bullshit. Nothing but bullshit statements. Congressional bootlicker caucus. Bunch of bullshit statements and actions. Come on, man. Man, these people are nothing but clowns. But yeah, but this is the rest of it. This is the rest of it. Nothing but a bunch of foolishness. Ain't really a whole lot to see here. But you know why they don't want to defund the police. You know what I'm saying? Oh, absolutely, Brother Danubi. Of course Trump doesn't think they shouldn't be defunded either. Of course. He's all about law and order. He's the so-called law and order president. He's more like an actor than a president. But you know what I mean. Yeah. Oh, absolutely, Brother Newman. Of course reparations will get the hell out of here. Oh, absolutely. Should we go back and repair Africa? Alright, man. We're going to have to repair some things, Africans. First of all, we'll kick the goddamn Chinese out of Africa. Get all the motherfuckers out of there. All the foreign motherfuckers. Your ass ain't Africa. Get the fuck out the country. You know what I'm saying? Just like that. But nah. You know. They know what they doing. They know exactly what they doing. And if they do get reparations, they only going to give it to a certain number of black people. Or a certain group of black people. That's how they gonna play this thing. You know what I'm saying? So, shoot. You know what I mean? Exactly. Fuck out of here. You know what I mean? These people are clowns, man. These people are clowns. Straight clowns. Ooh, Nicole's View got a good video. One Trick Pony. This is interesting too. I saw this. I was like, But I wouldn't be surprised by this.
The indictment of America's immigration priorities, in a tweet last night, she lamented that America isn't doing enough to help illegal immigrants get free abortions. For real. That's the problem that needs solving. Who's going to pay for illegal aliens' abortions? We need taxpayers. Well, she has many things to say about that, though. Laura has almost nothing to say about her own past. She refuses to answer questions about it, questions that involve serious questions. Tax fraud, perjury, possibly even a marriage to her brother. Steve Drazkowski is a Republican state representative in Minnesota. Earlier today, he formally requested that the House Ethics Committee launch a full investigation into Congressman Omar. Representative Drazkowski joins us tonight. Representative Drazkowski, so, what don't we know? What questions does the Congresswoman still refuse to answer?
Well, Tucker, she refuses to answer everything from where her siblings are to details about her immigration documents that she has shown briefly to one reporter on her phone. Anything that you ask her about or that people ask her about, she simply just ignores or may call you a racist.
Well, she'll definitely call you a racist. I mean, she's made a career of that. In fact, I would say that that's been the engine of her political career, calling other people racist. But this is not a crackpot theory, it's not birtherism, serious questions about whether or not she committed immigration fraud and then committed perjury in lying about it. Why wouldn't law enforcement agencies be looking into that?
Absolutely, and that's what we want them to do. As a matter of fact, Tucker, today we held a press conference in order to ask the U.S. House Ethics Committee to investigate this and get to the bottom of it. We also launched a website, a citizen petition at omartruth.com to engage citizens to hold Congress accountable so that they can investigate and end the cover-ups that we're seeing by Representative Omar.
Let me ask you this. If she were not a famous member of Congress, how hard would it be to get law enforcement to investigate these questions, given the amount of evidence that she committed perjury and fraud?
The evidence is in huge piles now. It's not being refuted by the left or by the mainstream media. Their fact checkers have not come out and said this stuff isn't accurate. It hasn't happened because it is. The information that David Steinberg and others have put together is very compelling. There are public documents that are filed that shows that she committed perjury 8 times, not to mention the tax fraud stuff that we found. We're working hard to bring this to light. I appreciate your help, Mr. Steinberg, and we did our bit today to bring forward this to the House Ethics Committee because we think they need to act. We encourage citizens to get behind it. There's a citizen petition at omartruth.com.
She's lying. I mean, she's clearly lying. She said she married in quote faith tradition, but the record shows she was married by a Christian minister. She's a Muslim. So, I mean, there's deceit here, and it's not just a question of ethics, it's a question of laws. I mean, she is an immigrant to this country. She clearly violated our immigration law and clearly lied about it.
Tucker, she does not have respect for our laws, and it's actually great disdain for our laws, and that's what we're seeing. The end justifies the mean for Representative Omar. That's what we've seen over again with all the campaign finance stuff. That's what we've seen with the cover-up she's done around her sham marriage, and each time she has to cover it up in order to get where she wants to go.
Yep. Oh, let's see what they talk. Let's see.
What's up, you guys? So I wanted to share more information and more conversation about what people mean when they say defund the police, since I was specifically asked to speak more about it. And I want to make it clear that defunding the police is a spectrum. Some people within and without the Black Lives Matter movement want to decrease funding to the police, and some want to completely dismantle the police department. But both want to direct more funds to social services that actually help the community get jobs and get job training and address mental health issues and other community issues, rather than directing so much of a city's budget towards a militarized type of police force that is proactively patrolling the city and looking for quote-unquote criminals. In this brief clip you're about to see, Meghan McCain tries to corner Senator Kamala Harris and get her to say yes or no that she is completely for or against defunding the police, despite there being a whole spectrum of where people stand on defunding the police. And I wanted to share this with you because it's so irritating to me as a black woman how people want black people in particular to have yes or no answers when it comes to how they view police and other social issues that we deal with in this country. And they don't want us to be able to have a range and a place on a spectrum, a whole spectrum of where our views fall on these issues. It has to be yes or no for them. As black women and black people in general, they don't want our views to fall on a spectrum. They want either a yes or no answer.
Activists right now are calling for a defunding of the police. The Minneapolis City Council just agreed on a bill on this. Right before I came to tape the show, there was a clip on CNN from a Minneapolis City Councilwoman who said, quote, "It's a place of privilege if someone breaking into your home wants to call the police." This is gaining a lot of steam. Nancy Pelosi this morning just refused to answer if she would support defunding the police. I just want to know from you, do you support defunding and removing police from American communities? And if not, why do you think there's such a hard time being differentiated right now between defunding and reforming police departments?
So, Megan, I think that a big part of this conversation really is about reimagining how we do public safety in America, which I support, which is this. We have confused the idea that to achieve safety, you put more cops on the street, instead of understanding to achieve safe and healthy communities, you put more resources into the public education system of those communities, into affordable housing, into home ownership, into access to capital for small businesses, access to health care regardless of how much money people have. That's how you achieve safe and healthy communities. And so we really do need to understand and reimagine what and how we can actually make and help make communities safe. Because here's the bottom line. If you contrast, many communities which have a heavy presence of police to middle and upper middle class suburbs in America, you will not see that presence of police. But what you will see families who have an income that allows them to get through the end of the month. You will see good public schools. You will see people who have access to health care and can afford it. You will see people who have jobs. And so this has to be the conversation, which is how are we going to be smart in achieving what should be our collective goal, which is that all communities are safe, and knowing that safe communities are usually safe because they are healthy because of a number of things, including the economy, including education, including access to health care. And that's how I think about this. In many cities in America, over 1/3 of their city budget goes to police. So we have to have this conversation. What are we doing? What about the money going to social services? What about the money going to helping people with job training? What about helping with the mental health issues that communities are being plagued with, for which we're putting no resources? And here's the other thing. When I talk to law enforcement, they know that they don't want to be, nor are they skilled to be the ones who are responding to someone with mental illness or substance abuse or the homeless population. But in many cities, that's what's happening, because we are not directing those resources, those public resources, to where they need to go, which is addressing mental health, homelessness, substance abuse.
That's the governor's and mayor's fault, as well as the city council, as well as state houses, state legislatures. They're the ones who not invest the money into mental health centers. You know what I'm saying? So that's whose fault that is. And of course, a lot of them are not really doing the jobs. They always making an excuse that there's no money for this and there's not enough money for that in the fucking budget. Knowing that they should be able, knowing that stuff is needed, they should find a way to put that shit in the fucking budget. You know what I'm saying? Instead of bullshitting. I hear so much bullshit for these politicians, whether they state, local, or federal, that it's like, come on, man. Cut the bullshit. You know what I mean? Y'all know. Y'all know that things need to be done, that things is needed. Make it fucking possible. Make that shit work. Don't bullshit. You know what I mean? If you can't do that, get yourself out the way and let somebody who's more qualified to do the goddamn job. You know? Politicians are always bullshitting.
So that we don't have to have a police response because we are smarter.
Senator, I hear you loud and clear, and I don't think there's any rational American right now who doesn't think that we need to take a cold, hard look at reforming our police. But there was a video that went viral over the weekend of the mayor of Minneapolis being yelled at, saying, yes or no question, are you for defunding the police? So I'm going to ask the same question the protesters asked him, are you for defunding the police?
How are you defining defund the police?
Well, I'm not for anything remotely for that, so I would ask the protesters the same thing, but I assume and again, this is something that is new to me, I assume it's removing police, and as Congresswoman Ilhan Omar said, bringing in a whole new way of governing and law and order into a community. And my understanding, again, this is something that has just come into my understanding recently, is that you would not have police officers like this Minneapolis City Councilwoman said, that I would be a place of privilege if someone broke into my home and I wanted to call the police.
So, again, we need to reimagine how we are achieving public safety in America. And to have cities where 1/3 of their entire budget is going to policing, but yet there is a dire need in those same cities for mental health resources, for resources going into public schools, resources going into job training and job creation. Come on, we have to be honest about this, that there is actually not a consensus around this, because if there were, we would actually see smarter distribution of resources in our country to address the issues that need to be addressed. Yes.
Senator, this is Sunny, and I think just to add to the conversation, defunding the police doesn't mean abolishing the police. It means taking some of those funds that are typically 1/3 of the budget of a city and giving some of those funds to services like mental health and education and mental health resources. But I want to change the subject and ask another question. Joe Biden has already committed to choosing a female running mate. Given the current climate...
Yeah, this is what the fund of the police mean. Police will be funded. Police will not be overfunded. Redistribute the city budget. Everyone gets a fair share. Defund the police, because police should not focus on crimes and criminals. Police should focus on crimes and criminals. Police are not mental health counselors. Police are not social workers. Police are not medical professionals. Police are not education specialists. Police should not be responsible for everything. And I would like to add to that, defund the police, because police should not be trained to be race soldiers. That's from Brother Tariq Nasheed. Aha! I'll have to add that. But what it does emphasizes is that it's reassessing our values, investing in our communities, investing in our people, funding our schools, funding our hospitals, funding our services, funding our infrastructure. And that answers that entire defund the police. Obviously, Meghan McCain, these people on The View have not done any research.
It occurs to me that Biden must also choose a black woman as his running mate to energize the base, to show his commitment to the community.
They kill me with that bullshit. So the solution is for Joe Biden to get a black woman as his vice president. What the fuck is a black woman gonna do, has to do with fucking defunding the police? They kill me with that bullshit. That's that symbolism bullshit that they trying to interject. But continuing on.
Let's get into the inner workings, the meaning of a black revolution and why black people have a right to
I think I actually hit another video.
Someone who is representative of the community affected and protesting in large part because of the issues. Do you agree with that?
I want Joe Biden to make a decision.
No? We're out of time.
It's not that simple. I just want him to win. He has to win. You have to.
What do you think about Meghan McCain trying to force Senator Kamala Harris to say yes or no to defunding the police? And did you hear Meghan Meghan McCain admit that she doesn't even know what defunding the police means exactly. Did you catch that? Leave a comment and let me know.
You're right. She's not educated. Meghan McCain is stupid as fuck anyway. Just like her goddamn father. Father ain't nothing but a goddamn puppet, so, two peas in the pod. Yeah. Oh, man, these people. But yeah, that's pretty much all I want to commentate on. Yeah, I forgot you was commenting, Brother Danubian. Exactly. Fuck Meghan McCain. You right about that. Lying bastards. There's enough money that just hoard it to themselves. Right. Police need to be unarmed in black neighborhoods now. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. These people on The View. That tweet that I put up on defunding the police, they should have it would have answered that question. This would have answered that question. But you know, these motherfuckers, they don't do any research, they don't do any reading before discussing the issue on their damn show. That's why they show us a bunch of idiots that listen to these motherfuckers. They ain't got no damn brains. You see what I'm saying? And then when somebody calls them out on it, then they want to get pissy mad at you. But you know, hey, I'm just a squirrel out here just trying to get a nut. What do I know, right? But for real, those of us who are here, those of us who do know more than these dumb nuts that the masses watch on television, just to feed us bullshit, you know. But hey, what can I say? But other than that, feel free to like, feel free to share. Let me know in the comment section what y'all think. And until then, I'll see y'all in the next video. Y'all be easy. Peace.